Dragon Quest VII has always been a bit of a contradiction. On one hand, it's one of the most ambitious JRPGs ever made, a massive, heartfelt adventure packed with memorable stories, charming characters, and that unmistakable Dragon Quest warmth. On the other hand, it's long, like really long. The kind of long where you start wondering if the game is going to outlive you. Originally released on the PS1 and later revamped for the 3DS, Dragon Quest VII earned a reputation as a flawed classic, beloved, respected, but often recommended with a warning label attached. So when Dragon Quest VII Reimagined was announced, I was cautiously optimistic. Not because I'm desperate for more remakes, honestly, it feels like we're drowning in them, but because if any Dragon Quest game needed a second pass, it was this one. And after spending dozens of hours with it, I can confidently say this isn't just a remake. It really is a reimagining, for better and worse. First things first, the name. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined very deliberately avoids the word remake, and that choice actually matters. This isn't just the same game with shinier visuals and smoother menus. The goal here is clear: make Dragon Quest VII a more digestible experience. The original could easily take over 100 hours to complete. Reimagined is still a massive JRPG, don't get me wrong, but depending on how you play, you can shave 20 to 40 hours off that runtime. And yes, that will upset some purists. There will absolutely be players who say, actually, I like spending 100 hours doing everything, and that's fair. But the reality is that trimming questlines, making others optional, and tightening progression results in a game that's far more approachable without losing its identity. This might not be the definitive version of Dragon Quest VII for everyone, but it is the most playable version it's ever been. At its heart though, the story remains the same. You play as the nameless hero, living on the peaceful island of Estad, alongside Kiefer, the prince of the island, and a man who desperately wants to be anywhere else. Together you uncover the mysteries of a fractured world, travelling to lost islands across time and space, helping communities deal with curses, disasters, and the occasional existential crisis. And this is where Dragon Quest VII truly excels. The game balances absurdity and sincerity better than almost any JRPG out there. One moment, you're helping a village whose residents turn into animals every day. The next, you're trying to save an entire town from being wiped out by a volcano. It's silly, it's heartfelt, and somehow it never feels tonally confused. That balance is pure Dragon Quest, and Reimagined preserves it beautifully. Structurally, though, Dragon Quest VII still isn't going to be for everyone. The first third of the game follows an episodic, story of the week format. Each island is its own self-contained narrative, with very little connecting them early on. If you're looking for a strong central plot immediately, this might test your patience, but personally, I found it refreshing. Given how long the game is, having each island play out like its own short story means you're constantly hitting meaningful narrative beats. You're not waiting 30 hours for something interesting to happen. You're getting small, satisfying arcs almost constantly. And if you do want more narrative cohesion, don't worry, the back half of the game pulls everything together wonderfully. Threads start to connect, stakes rise, and the larger threat finally comes into focus. The slow burn pays off. One area where Reimagined genuinely elevates the experience is presentation. The writing is consistently excellent, full of warmth, humour, and surprisingly emotional moments. It's clear the writers had a lot of fun revisiting these stories and characters. Full voice acting during major story beats helps bring the world to life, and the variety of accents and performances gives each island its own identity. Outside of maybe Claire Obscure, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined has some of my favourite voice acting in a game from the last decade, and I don't say that lightly. It adds texture, personality, and charm in a way the original simply couldn't. Now let's talk about the art style, because this one's divisive. At first glance, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined looks like someone mashed together Thunderbirds and Shrek during a fever dream. Characters have a doll-like diorama appearance that can feel a little strange at first, especially if you're expecting traditional anime JRPG visuals. But give it time. I went from skeptical to completely sold. Everything oozes charm. The characters, the monsters, the environments, it all feels like a living toy box. There's a nostalgic, childlike quality to the presentation that perfectly matches the whimsical tone of the story. It doesn't just look different for the sake of it, it fits. Gameplay-wise, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined knows exactly what it is. Dragon Quest has always been one of the purest JRPG series out there, and that's a strength. It doesn't chase trends or overcomplicate itself. Combat remains classic turn-based fare. Overworld encounters are quick and efficient. when you exploit elemental weaknesses properly, while dungeons and boss fights require just enough thought to stay engaging. It's comfortable, familiar, breezy, and that's not a criticism. There are meaningful additions, though most notably the Let Loose system. As characters fight, they build toward powerful special abilities. Some are simple buffs, others are more tactical, like nullifying enemy attacks or applying new weaknesses. It adds just enough strategic depth to keep battles interesting, especially later on when bosses start hitting harder. It's not revolutionary, but it doesn't need to be. Progression is handled through the vocation system, which returns from the original and works beautifully here. Characters level up naturally while their chosen vocations unlock abilities in parallel. It's streamlined, intuitive, and never overwhelming, but there's still depth if you want it. Reimagined allows you to equip 2 vocations at once, which opens the door to some genuinely broken builds if you enjoy experimenting. And if you don't, you can ignore most of that complexity and still have a great time. That flexibility is one of the game's biggest strengths. That said, Reimagined isn't flawless. Pacing in the opening hours is still slow. It's better than the original, significantly so, but it can still take a few hours before you hit a proper rhythm of dungeons and combat. It also takes far too long to unlock the ability to freely switch vocations. I had maxed out starting classes well before new options became available, and there's a brief stretch where progression feels oddly stagnant. These aren't deal breakers, but they do hold the game back from greatness. Still, those issues are minor compared to what Dragon Quest VII Reimagined gets right. This is a game made by developers who understand the series, respect its history, and aren't afraid to make tough cuts when necessary. You don't need overly complex systems or constant reinvention to create something special. You just need strong writing, thoughtful design, and confidence in what you're making. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined delivers all of that. So where does that leave us? Dragon Quest VII Reimagined isn't perfect, but it is charming, heartfelt, and deeply satisfying. For newcomers, it's the most approachable way to experience this epic adventure. For longtime fans, it's a fresh perspective on a beloved classic, even if it's not the ultimate version for everyone. For me, it's one of the most endearing JRPGs I've played in recent memory. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined earns a solid 8 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more gaming reviews, and let me know in the comments. Is Dragon Quest VII a classic you'd revisit or one you missed entirely? Thanks for watching.